Coming to you live from the Mac Studio, it's Whitney High School Live. And I'm your host, Ben Espejo. Well, hey guys, welcome to the Tuesday edition of Whitney High School Live. As you guys know, here at Whitney High School Live, we like to celebrate excellence. So I'm going to throw it over now to Michelle Nee with a special announcement.
Thank you, Ben. This last Saturday, Whitney actually sent a team of 8 students to the Math Counts chapter competition. Math Counts is a national middle school math competition that challenges problem solving and analytical thinking. Out of the 21 teams that competed there this weekend, Whitney placed first, and out of the 170 students, we also have the top 4 individuals. 4th place individual, we have Hannah Chen, 3rd place Austin Lee, 2nd place Joyce Yuan, and 1st Justin Dong. This is pretty much unprecedented in history. Of course, they weren't able to do this themselves. They were challenged by the other students in the Whitney Math Counts program and by the coaches. That's Lucy Wang, Jonathan Lin, Moses Wan, and myself. Thank you, Ben. Back to you.
Thank you, Michelle. And now I'm going to throw it over to David Tung with a orange chair segment.
Dice, plastic cubes that we use in board games and gambling. But what are dice? Dice are used to produce supposedly random results. But I'm here today to challenge that idea. I believe that nothing, not even dice, are random. So since I started with dice, I'll use that as my first example. When you roll dice, there's so many variables involved. The way the dice are facing up, the way you pick them up, the weight of the dice, the size of your hand, the way you roll the dice, the texture of the table or whatever you're rolling on, that all influences the dice roll. In fact, you can even possibly even predict what the dice roll is going to be depending on how the person rolls it once all the variables are introduced. Now, another thing is, well, what about human minds? Like, supposedly we can think of random thoughts like, oh, I made that random move, I made an irrational decision, whatever. Well, in fact, we as humans don't make random decisions. The ventral medial prefrontal cortex in your brain controls all decision making, whether conscious or not. What it does is it takes in your environment, your surroundings, any contextual clues or nuances, and then it activates certain parts of your brain that give you different ideas, or introduces things from your memory that helps spark what your decision is going to be. So even when you're supposedly in like a tense situation, whatever you do is influenced by your environment and your previous experiences. So the human mind actually is incapable of making random thoughts because everything follows a certain program. Now, speaking of programs, what about computers? Like, supposedly, computers can produce random numbers, right? Well, so when you're programming, in order to produce a random number, you use what's called an RNG generator, random number generator. Essentially what that is you implant a quote-unquote seed, which is a number you choose, and you put it in, and what it does is it runs the number through an algorithm that produces different numbers every time, but it's not random. It still follows that specific algorithm. So in essence, computers are incapable, just like humans, of making random numbers, random thoughts, random ideas. See, some RNG generators even take more contextual clues of the environment around it, similar to the human brain. Like, for example, the timestamp of when you entered the number, the last several keys typed, and how many times you clicked the mouse in the past minute. And another thing is, well, when we typically think about random things or random motion, we think of gas molecules. Because when you describe molecular motion and you think of gas, oh, so a bunch of molecules that fly around randomly. Well, in actuality, gas molecules move at a certain vector, and when they come into contact with other gas molecules or the container that it's in, it bounces off and it goes in another vector. So in essence, like dice, there are a lot of different variables that influence this. Say the distance between the molecules before they start, the mass of the molecules, the air pressure, the air temperature, the size of the container, how many molecules there are. So it all helps to make an interconnected, very complicated system where all these molecules are bouncing all over the place, so which produces a pseudo-random motion. It's known as Brownian motion. Yeah. So the thing is, if everything is supposedly random, if nothing is supposedly random, then technically everything will. So one event has to result in another outcome. So for example, when X situation happens, there will always be Y outcome. Therefore, if we have all these situations happening simultaneously, they will all result in specific outcomes, and that will keep on branching out. So in technicality, time is preordained. Anything that will happen is fated to happen and will happen, because everything produces a specific result, which produces more specific results. But this doesn't necessarily mean that we can predict everything. For example, I won't be able to tell if, some random person is going to be like the 70th president of the United States. I can't tell when and if World War III will happen, because there are too many variables involved. But still, everything is technically predestined or preordained to happen, because nothing is random. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you, David. Now, just remember, if you're interested in sharing your voice or sharing your opinions, let us know and we'll get you on the show for an Orange Chair segment. Before we go, ASB sent us a short clip about tomorrow's Spirit Day, so let's take a look.
Saturday morning, jumped out of bed and put on my best suit. Got in my car, raced like a jet, all the way to you. Knocked on your door with heart in my head to ask you a question.
Thank you, ASB. Now, also, if you're interested in participating in Battle of the Bands, tomorrow we're going to be having our band meetup here in the Mac studio, I should say. If you're not in a band, just bring your instrument and we'll try to set you up with a band. That's all for today. This has been Whitney High School Live. I'm Ben Espejo. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.